Good morning, Ospreys. Welcome back to Nest News.
Today we talk about e-cigarettes being banned and the Area 51 raid.
And also, student government keeps it interesting.
Stick around for a great show today, Ospreys.
I'm Sheilfalika
And I'm Chris Jennings.
Let's get right into the news.
It looks like there are interesting things happening in Nevada today.
A few months ago, a joke on Facebook was made about a Storm Area 51 raid happening in September. And today is the day of that supposed raid. Millions of people say on Facebook that they were going to go to the raid and see some aliens today. While raiding Area 51 will get you arrested, I think most people will elect for parties held in nearby cities of Rachel and Hiko. A music festival called Alien Stock is also planned with almost 50 performers promising to play the show. It will be interesting to see what happens tonight and this weekend, as some fun will be going on in the desert.
Now, if you are no chasing aliens, then we got some campus life for you. Fraternities and sororities are back in full speed, and students seem to have their own opinions on Greek life. Spinnaker reporter Darvin interviewed UNF students to get their opinion.
This past Rush Week has stirred the social atmosphere and inspired many thoughts about Greek life. We asked a few students what they thought about Greek life and if they would ever consider pledging. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think Greek life?
The first thing that comes to my mind is probably brotherhood and just a strong bond.
I think of those frat boys, usually athletes, with their varsity jackets on, like the stereotypical movie thing, just parties.
Do you think there are any pros and cons when it comes to being involved in Greek life?
I think that you can get more friends, maybe more easier, have a better sense of community, but it also kind of perpetuates rape culture.
If you do have time management, which you learn through Greek life, and the opportunities that you receive, then the pros outweigh the cons, but it's all based upon time management.
If you could wrap up Greek life in one word, what would it be?
Caring, compassion, love, friendships, fun.
What is your best memory of Greek life so far?
Honestly, my favorite memory so far has been going out and playing volleyball with some of the boys right now and just having a good time with them.
Like one of the days I was rushing, I really connected to the philanthropy, and when I was leaving the room, I just felt a lot of love, and I looked around and I was like, oh, these are my best friends. I don't even know them that well yet, but I don't want to leave the room, and I left the room in tears. It was the second day, and I'm I don't want to leave. I'm so happy. I'm home. So I guess that's my best memory.
It seems that our fellow Ospreys have a positive opinion on Greek life, but some feel that it is costly and requires a lot of time management. This is Darvin from Spinnaker News.
In my opinion, Greek life is for some and not for others, and finding your niche is what makes college and fun an exciting place.
The University and Student Affairs Committee of the Student Government met Friday, September 13th, to revise proposed legislation addressing harassment from visitors on campus. There was much debate and chatter last year about campus preachers harassing students by the Green and by the library.
Relating to the harassments, a viral video was made in February by a UNF student who filmed himself being harassed and the discriminatory remarks he received. Also, when student government ran a survey on student opinions of these religious groups, 83.9% of UNF students responded that they felt uncomfortable by the preachers. Also, in proposed legislation is finding a solution for the parking on campus and the gray lot. The USA Committee is working on an Osprey Voice survey on parking to gauge student attitudes.
New York State health officials voted on Tuesday to ban the sale of most flavored e-cigarettes for 90 days. The ban is targeting younger people who vape, as more and more action is needed to stop the epidemic. The only two flavors that will be available are menthol and tobacco. But New York State Health Commissioner Dr. Howard Zucker noted that officials would take a look at menthol to see if it also needed to be banned. New York would become the first state to ban e-cigarette flavors, but San Francisco was the first city to ban it a few months ago.
Coming up on Pop Culture, we discuss UFOs.
And also Tekashi 6ix9ine.
So stick around.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let me tell you a little bit about the STEM. My name's Lee Gia. My friends and I have done some amazing things on this show, like flying through hurricanes, or driving Teslas, or swimming with manatees, or even floating in zero gravity. We film these things and bring them here, to the world's next great science and space show. That's where the STEM comes in. We go on adventures as an excuse to learn something. The universe is a pretty big place. There's a lot to learn. A lot that's interesting to learn. Over the next year or so, we'll be riding in the centrifuge, farm in the heart of New York City, fly a spaceship, fly President Harry Truman's Air Force One, launch some rockets, catch some rockets, nice! Shoot video at the speed of light. Our world and universe are there, waiting to be explored. The question is, what are you waiting for?
Welcome back.
Here's your week's pop culture rundown. Earlier this week, the rainbow-colored hair rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine completed his first day in federal court in Manhattan, where he identified members of his former gang, the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods.
According to TMZ, prosecutors showed several stills from the rapper's music video, only for Tekashi to later snitch and identify various gang members from the images. He also confesses that he became an official member in 2017 of November, which yielded to various crimes such as shootings and assault.
Tekashi was arrested back in November of 2018 on racketeering charges. He later accepted a plea deal which required him to spill the beans about his affiliation with the gang. Or he could have stayed silent and faced a minimum of 47 years in prison.
Wow, what a choice to make. Either confess to the crimes you've done or spend almost 50 years in prison.
Yeah, and he was such a talented rapper. Like, if he did not get involved with those gangs, I think he could have made it just so big in the hip hop industry.
Wow, but I guess his career might be over.
Oh, it's totally over. Yeah, it's completely over.
Well, in other news, YouTube superstar and superwoman Lily Singh debuted her brand new NBC talk show this week.
As an Indian immigrant from Canada, Lily Singh is the first woman of color who is openly bisexual to have her own show on a major television network channel.
A Little Late with Lily Singh's airs every night at 1:30 a.m. on NBC. You know, I think it's really interesting, personally speaking, that as a woman of color and an Indian, I think it's really interesting to see some representation. For the first time on Monday night, I tuned into her show and I saw, a version of my culture looking back at me. And that was the first time I felt what representation really feels like, and it was beautiful.
Yeah,
what do you think?
She's gaining popularity very fast. Like I said, I saw her first YouTube video with Chelsea Handler. She interviewed Chelsea Handler, who's a comedian, and it was pretty good, pretty good content. So
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna probably be a fan soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where her show goes.
All right, guys, a mysterious object in the sky has everyone talking about UFOs. Top secret footage has been released showing what seems to be an unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAP.
The footage was captured by fighter pilots on board a U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornet aircraft. The film was not meant to be released to the public. However, this week, that footage was confirmed by the U.S. Navy as belonging to their archives.
The film shows a saucer-shaped UAP moving at incredible speeds and rotating on its axis, while skilled pilots try to capture it on their infrared tracking screens.
The pilot who locks onto the UAP's position laughs in disbelief as he tries to figure out what is he looking at.
So what do you think, Ospreys? Could that flying object be a top secret aircraft, or is it an alien?
I vote for aliens. I personally am a sci-fi fan, and also I think that it would be really cool to one day meet another race of beings that has, that is intelligent, that we could actually get to know and collaborate with, and hopefully they're not dangerous. What do you think?
As soon as I heard this story, I knew people were going to run with it and say that they were aliens. I've never been a big fan of aliens, so who knows what it is. But
All right.
hopefully they find out soon.
Well, moving on, it's that time of the year again. This Sunday is the 71st Primetime Emmy Awards, and it will celebrate television's renowned dramas, comedies, and other variety content.
Just like the Oscars, the Emmy Awards will not feature a host. But in doing so, the ceremony can now focus on nominees and highlight the achievements from popular shows such as Game of Thrones and The Big Bang Theory.
According to Time magazine, Game of Thrones will take up most of the spotlight at the ceremony, as it takes the lead with 32 nominations and Best Drama Series. The popular ceremony will broadcast live on Fox, and it will air from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Coming up next on Nest News.
Catherine brings you up to speed on sports.
And Miller has your weather.
Stay tuned for more after the break.
Alrighty, Ospreys, let's get into some sports news.
Here's Catherine with your Spinnaker Sports Report.
It has been quite the week for UNF sports, Ospreys. Freshman volleyball player Juliana Askew set a career high with 70 assists in a 5-set match, which led her to being named the ASUN Freshman of the Week. Gabby O'Connell had 29 kills against FAU, earning ASUN Player of the Week alongside Askew. Shredding the record book, Gabby's stellar performance tied for the most of any player in a 5-set match in UNF's Division I history. And Askew is tied for the most assists in a 5-set match in UNF's Division I history. After losing the second and fourth set Tuesday night, the Ospreys rallied in the 5th set to secure the win against Georgia Southern. Senior Taryn Griffey led the team with 19 kills. The Ospreys are playing on the road this weekend at the Mississippi State Invitational, and their first match was yesterday against UAB. The UNF men's soccer team's game against number 22 FIU ended in a draw in Miami on Tuesday night. After falling behind early in the first half, senior Zane Budd tied the game 1-1 on a header. The Ospreys return home this weekend to face Liberty University tomorrow at 7 p.m. The UNF women's soccer team lost 3-2 to the Air Force at home on Monday. While the Ospreys led 2-0 at halftime, the Air Force scored 3 unanswered goals. Despite the loss, redshirt junior Rhiannon Conley still managed to have 3 key saves in the game. The team's next match is at home tonight against Illinois State at 7 p.m. We saw a completely different Jags defense last week against the Houston Texans. The Jags were able to hold Houston's high-power offense to only 13 points. However, this was not enough as the Jags came just inches short of the goal line on the last play of the game for the win, making the final score 13-12 Texans. Last night, the Jags secured their first win of the season by defeating the Tennessee Titans 20-7 at TIAA Bank Field. The 1-2 Jags travel to Denver next Sunday to take on the 0-2 Broncos. I'm Catherine Cavallo, and this has been your Spinnaker Sports Report.
Thank you, Catherine. Alrighty, Ospreys, let's get into some weather news.
All right, here's Miller with your Spinnaker Weather Report.
Thanks, Chris. Let's see what kind of weather we've got coming at us this week. Friday brings a high of 85 and a low of 73 with partly cloudy skies. Going into this weekend, we can expect mostly sunny skies with temperatures reaching a high of 85 and a low of 70 on Saturday. High of 85 and a low of 70 degrees on Sunday. And on Monday, we're looking at a high of 87 and a low of a crisp 67 degrees. Through the rest of the week, we'll have highs in the lower 90s and lows in the lower 70s. For all my surfers out there, we will have a little radical waves today and tomorrow, with waves reaching up to 7 feet through the rest of the week. It'll continue to have some 2 to 3 foot swells through the rest of next week. We will also want to keep an eye out for Hurricane Jerry, which is making its way across the Atlantic. At the moment, the storm is not forecasted to affect Jacksonville. It's projected to follow a similar path to Humberto, going up into the Atlantic and staying off of the coast. This has been your News Nest weather forecast. I'm Miller Mott. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Miller. Well, that just about wraps it up for our show today.
Before we leave, make sure to follow our Instagram and Twitter, both at UNF Spinnaker.
And subscribe to our daily newsletter at unfspinnaker.com.
I'm Chris Jennings.
And I'm Sheilfalika Bhatnagar.
And until next time, swoop Ospreys, swoop.